Ed eccoci qui, buonasera, buonasera a tutti, buonasera colleghi, educatori, insegnanti, buonasera alunni, studenti. Siamo qui per la prima sessione della GEG International, no, non è un errore, l'abbiamo scritto appositamente in maniera, diciamo, goliardica perché ci piaceva l'idea di voler introdurre questa nuova versione, quindi aprirci al mondo internazionale con ospiti internazionali con questa un po' goliardia italiana. E oggi una puntata, devo dire, come prima sessione international veramente straordinaria. Perché? Perché parleremo di Book Creator, un'app meravigliosa. In Italia abbiamo tantissimi educatori che sono già certificati come autori e anche tanti ambassador di Book Creator che sicuramente ci stanno già ascoltando, li salutiamo, ma abbiamo un ospite speciale che parlerà con noi oggi. Ed è, signore e signori, vi presento, trullo di tamburi, Jon Smith!
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you having me. I'm sorry, I'm dealing with two screens, so if I look up, sorry if you're looking up my nose or something like that, but I'll try to look at the right place at the right time. But I'm excited to be here, so thank you so much for having me.
Thank you to you. I switch to English now, so se avete qualche domanda in chat e soprattutto mi rivolgo agli alunni che stanno seguendo questa diretta, fatela in italiano, io la tradurrò per John, per voi. I translated the question from the chat for you, John, so okay, we are talking before. Per cui, siccome è veramente John è il VIP di Book Creator, you are the very important person from Book Creator, send me an autograph so later. Lascio lo spazio a lui, so please, John, your turn.
All right, thank you. Well, I'm going to share my screen here, so bear with me for 1 second. Make sure I get the right one. You should see my book, I think. Did everybody see my? There we go. Awesome. All right, so we're going to hide. Oh, now I got to go over to my other computer screen. There we go. All right, so we're going to hide things. Perfect. Well, again, thank you, everybody, for having me this morning. I'm really excited to get to talk to everybody. I get a little excited about I'm going to share today. So if I go a little bit too fast, Philomena, please don't hesitate to say, "Whoa, slow down, put the brakes on a little bit." But my name is Jon Smith. I am the iPod teacher on Twitter. So if you're a teacher and you want to give me a follow on Twitter, you can certainly do so. And my email is jonsmith@bookcreator.com. I taught special ed for 12 years. After that, I was a technology integration specialist for 7 years. And now I get to work as Book Creator's teacher success manager. So my day is filled with webinars and trainings and trying to support teachers and basically just doing everything I can to help teachers and students be as excited and as successful as possible using Book Creator. So again, thanks for having me. I'm married. I've got 3 kids. They're 10, 6, and 3. My 10-year-old is actually right here next to me. If you want to say hi, you can jump in and say hi. There he is. That's James. We are doing online learning here in my school district where my children go. So my son and my 6-year-old daughter are doing online learning. So he's home with me today, and he is always excited to say hi to people. So that's pretty cool. Thanks for allowing him to poke in. Let's see what else. I love golf. So I don't know if there's any golfers out there, but I love golf and I love to detail cars. So I clean cars on the side. And when I think Italy and I think cars, I think Ferraris and I think all these really cool things that I will never, ever be able to afford. So I don't know if we've got some connections out there. I suppose if you want to ship a Ferrari to me or something, I could maybe give some free Book Creator licenses or something. I don't know. But
I translate this, così a lui piacciono molto le macchine, e chiedeva soprattutto, visto che sta facendo la live. It's your first time for a session in Italy, a live session for Italy?
It is.
Ok, quindi
Yeah.
la prima volta che fa una live in collegamento con l'Italia ha detto come minimo mandatemi una Ferrari o a Lamborghini, you know.
Or Lamborghini. I won't. I'm not picky. I'll take either one. Yeah. So I'll take a used one too. It doesn't even have to be new. But anyway, my son is smiling in the background like he thinks this is actually going to happen. So anyway, but yeah. So today's agenda, basically, we're going to take a little bit of a look at Book Creator. I know that most of you have used Book Creator for years, and you're probably fairly fluent with it, but I'm going to share some accessibility features. I'm going to talk about maybe some tips and tricks and some hidden things that you may not know about inside of Book Creator. But before we do that, I thought I would share my story a little bit with everybody and just kind of talk about where I come from with Book Creator. And then at the end, we'll also take some questions. And if questions come up as we go throughout the webinar today as well, feel free to jump in, Philomena. Just let me know that there's a question. I'll be happy to answer those questions. But the thing I wanted to start with is my story. And like every good story, mine has a start, right? And mine starts with these kids right here. And I know what you're thinking. They're smiling. They look like they're laughing. They look happy. They're cute kids. But don't let them fool you. My students had big problems, and most of the problems obviously revolved around school, but they just didn't like anything. As a matter of fact, these actually aren't even my kids. These are some random Google kids. I don't know whose kids these are, but mine looked absolutely nothing like this. All right, my kids were angry. They hated me. They hated school. And the big thing was that they just didn't really care, right? They didn't care about a lot of different things. But the one thing that really confused me was why there was so much hatred towards writing. And so I started to think about this a little bit. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I didn't even like writing. Even as an adult, like I didn't like to write. And so I started to wonder if I could help myself, then maybe I could help my students. And how could I do that? And so I tried the writing prompts, right, that teachers do. I brought them into the class. I said, hey, kids, we're going to write today. And here's a writing prompt. And the kids hated them. They didn't like them at all. And so I decided to try to step up the game a little bit. And I thought I would go the disgusting route, right? I would try to use something gross to engage those students. And so, I went into the kids and I said, hey, we're going to write today. We're going to pretend like we're dogs. We're going to write about the day in the life of a dog. You wake up, you lick your butt. What happens next? And the kids are like throwing up in the back of the classroom, and they're just not excited about this at all. And so I was like, oh, back to the drawing board again. So the next day I thought maybe I would appeal to their stomachs. Maybe if we talked about food, maybe that would be a good way to get writing excited or going. And so, in the States that day, it was National Pizza Day. And so I talked about, let's talk about pizza. Like, what kind of crust do you like? What kind of toppings? Do you like it hot? Do you like it cold? That kind of stuff. And the kids are like, yeah, not going to do it. We don't want to do this. We hate this. So no, please stop asking us to write. And so to be completely honest, I felt like this boxer. I felt completely knocked out. I felt like a failure. And I really just wanted to quit my job. I had no interest in doing what I was doing. Because I could not reach these kids. And so then I did what every really good teacher does, especially here in the States. I went to the teacher store, and there it was in the back left corner of the teacher store, ironically, next to the Advil and the Tylenol, was the writing section. And I thought this was it because I found the holy grail of writing, 730 journal prompts, 2 for every day of the year. I was excited. I was like, this is going to be my answer. I can't go wrong, right? There's so many writing prompts that this is going to be it. Well, I took those into the class. And as you can see at the top left, I was super excited. But my students were not, right? We've got the eye rolls. We've got this angry Roger Federer down here at the bottom. I mean, we've got these kids, right, they were just not happy with me at all. And again, I just started asking questions like, why me? Like, what is wrong, right, with me? And so after many years of struggling with this and fighting with my students about writing in school, I came up with 3 reasons why I think kids hate school, or in this case, don't like writing. And the first reason was that these students, some of the students who are watching today, right, the students, they do all of this work for us, for the teacher. And whether we like their work or not, they put effort into it. And then when they're done with it, they turn it into you, right? The audience of one. Now, most of these kids have a global following from an early age. A lot of them have 10,000 YouTube followers before we even eat breakfast, right? Because that's just not our world, because we're old, fuddy-duddy teachers. But these kids have this global following. Now, if we're lucky, maybe they put the work on the refrigerator at home and they have an audience of 3 or 4, but that's it. So outside of school, global audience; inside of school, us, right? And that's not okay with kids. So that was number 1. The second thing that I realized is that these students, even in 2020, are being told not to work together. Don't collaborate. Don't help each other. Don't talk to your neighbor. Don't sit too close. Like whatever the case may be, we're still telling kids not to collaborate. But they like to do it. And if you don't believe me, just go to YouTube, go to TikTok, go to all these things that kids like to do and look at the work. They are working together. They are collaborating to create these amazing artifacts, and just not in school. And so then the third piece was that these students they're not leaving behind anything. Well, maybe the gum under the desk, but they're not leaving behind any work that's going to benefit anybody else. It's just there. And a lot of times the work is thrown in a trash can. It's left in a locker. There is nothing that's left behind that's going to benefit others. So I was like, okay, this is great, right? I've got these 3 ideas. But then I got really frustrated because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to fix this. And so I struggled again for a while thinking about this until I came across Book Creator, and it changed my life forever, right? And it changed my students forever. So I started to investigate Book Creator. I realized that this was really awesome, because we had the iPad app at the time. This was almost years ago. We had the iPad app. I could create a book. I could publish that book. Wow, that's really cool options. And so I was pumped, and I went into my class and I took the idea to them and I said, hey guys, good morning. Today we're going to do something different. And the kids are moaning and groaning, right? And they're just arguing with me. And I was like, no, listen, I want you to stop your whining, because today we are going to write a book. And the kids obviously weren't happy at all, as you can see by their faces once they pull up here. They were angry, right? They didn't want to do the work. They didn't want to write. And I said, no, listen, there's more to the story. You just have to understand something. They said, what's that? And I said, you have to understand that your writing is awful. All right. It will probably never get any better. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to write a book and we're going to publish it for the entire world. Now, the kids started looking at me a little strange, right? Probably like some of you are thinking right now, what is wrong with this guy, right? And I said to the kids, I said, no, listen, it's going to be cool. And this one girl, she raised her hand. She goes, well, you just said our writing is awful. Why would we write a book for the entire world? And I said, well, I want the whole world to see how bad your writing is so that I don't feel alone anymore, right? Like, so that I can feel a little bit of validation from other people. That's like, yes, their writing is terrible. And again, the kids, strange looks. And this one kid, worst kid I've ever had in my entire teaching career, raises her hand and says, well, Mr. Smith, if we're going to make a book for the world, don't you think we ought to make it good? And right there was the light bulb moment for me and for my students. I realized something at that moment, because as soon as I told them we were going to write a book for the world, they became excited. And the reason they became excited is because teachers get paid to grade. They get paid to read things. They get paid to do this kind of stuff. And for me, honestly, again, this is a little bit brutal, but I didn't want to read their stuff because it was so bad, right? And I couldn't get them excited about it, and I was frustrated. And so But when I told them that we were going to write for other people other than me, the kids were like, we're in. We're going to do this. I can't wait. And I was shocked, right? Because I was like, wait a minute. This is actually going to work, right? And I see a comment from Shannon that the process allowed for some ownership. Absolutely. Because up until that point, it was all me, right? This is what I want you to write. This is how it's going to be done. This is the stuff you have to include. But now it's theirs. It's all their work. So they were pumped. And so we started the whole writing process. We talked about beginning and middle and end, characters, setting, plot, all of that important stuff that we need to talk about. And then we talked about audience. Who are we writing for? How are we going to design the book? We talked about writing with your face, right? My students were, again, special ed students. They would argue with me all the time, Mr. Smith, we can't spell, we can't type, we don't know where the keys are on the keyboard, and you're asking us to do this stuff. And I said, listen, it's okay, because neither do your teachers, because I've seen their emails. They don't know how to write, they don't know how to type, and they certainly don't know where the keyboards are, because I see them typing. And the kids would laugh. And I would say, but that's okay, because with this microphone right here, we can actually write with our face. And the kids were like, what? And I was like, yes. And so we called it writing with our face. And the kids just ate it up. And so we stopped and we collaborated and we listened to each other. And eventually, and now that was a side joke. I don't know if you know who Vanilla Ice is, but that was like a famous rap song from like the 80s and 90s, you know, and Ice Ice Baby. And, you know, he talked to stop, collaborate, and listen. So I always tell that joke. I just think it's funny. But that's what we did, right? We worked together to figure out what we were going to write about. And I'll be honest, the kids looked at me and we just sat there and they just sat in silence and stared at me, waiting for me to tell them what to write about. And I was like, I'm not going to tell you, because this is your story. What do you want to write about? That's what we're going to do. And so after a few weeks of work and planning and you know, editing and things like that, we ended up coming out with a book. And the kids were so excited. I was excited. Went out on Twitter and told people, I was like, just download our book. To be honest, I didn't even care if anybody read it. I just wanted downloads so that I could go to my students and say, look, people downloaded your book. All right. And the kids would be excited. So I tweet this out. And the very next day, I went into class and I told them, I said, hey guys, guess what? And they said, what? I said, last night, 16 downloads of your book happened. And the kids, you would have thought that it was like Christmas morning, right? I mean, they were so excited. They're running around the classroom. They couldn't wait to hear more. And then a student asked me a simple question that had profound impact on my life. A student says to me, Mr. Smith, we had 16 downloads last night. I said, yep. He said, can we go out the hallway and graph that? And I was like, wait a minute, time out. I was like, that's math. And so now these kids are making the connections, and they couldn't wait to see how many downloads they had the next day and the next day. And they were making predictions and they were making guesses, you know, as to when they're going to get to 150 downloads, when were we going to get to 1,000, you know, and I was just like, whoa, let's slow down. Like we had 16 books, right? Like, I don't know about 1,000, you know, all that kind of stuff. It was just phenomenal. And now at this point, the students that I've had and the students that I've worked with other teachers, we've published over 155 books in 51 different countries. Now, that was all before Book Creator became available online. And so now with the online version, I can share books out even easier. And we have a much wider reach than we did before, just by publishing through the Apple bookstore. But now, I mean, we've had 60,000 downloads of those books. And it's just really amazing to thank you. It's just really amazing to see, right? Because I mean, the downloads are nice, right? It's awesome because you can graph that, right? Like I can put that out in the hallway. But what's more important is the motivation, because these kids, they wanted to write, right? The motivation was the money, right? Like I couldn't stop them. Like they were like, oh, can we do a sequel? Can we do a math textbook? Can we do like whatever? Right? These kids just wanted to keep going. And so it was just a really amazing experience. And again, I think part of it is because of audience, right? It wasn't just their old fuddy-duddy teacher that they were writing for now. They were writing for the world. which these kids love. They love getting comments from teachers and feedback and things like that. Same thing with YouTube, right? It doesn't even matter if it's a good comment or a bad comment. They got a comment, and then they can take those comments and they can make adjustments or try to make their next video better. It's the same thing with books. But the other piece is that Book Creator is easy. I don't have a problem teaching Book Creator to kids or adults because it's simple and it's very easy to pick up. And so I think those are important. But then the other thing that I wanted to just kind of leave you with here before we get into some of the hidden features of Book Creator and things like that is that, in my opinion, your kids need to be doing three things. They need to create. All right, they need to create their learning, and I don't care if it's Book Creator or a video or something else. Right? They need to be making their learning so that they can show what they understand and what they don't. And then the second piece is that they need to be collaborating. They need to work together on these different things that they're doing, because that's the kind of the way the world works. I mean, I collaborate with people every day on my job. We're collaborating right now on doing this webinar. So collaboration is an important skill. And then the third thing is that these kids need to be able to share their work. Now, if they're too young to share their work, then teachers should share their work, because your kids are doing amazing things and you need to put that out there so that other people can see it. Because we all have a story to tell. And if we don't tell that story, somebody else is going to tell that story. And at least where I live, it's usually the local newspaper. And if the local newspaper tells the story, they're going to tell you all the bad things. They're not going to tell you all the good stuff that happens in the school. So you want to get your stories out there so that other people can see it. And so, putting the work on the student refrigerator it's not okay anymore. Now my wife and I, we got in a fight about this. It is okay. All right. It is okay to put the work on the refrigerator. You know why? Because I have 3 kids, and guess what's on my refrigerator? Student work, right? That's okay. But it's better when you can put the work on everybody's refrigerator. And I call that the global refrigerator. And I just think that's so much more powerful. And with something like Book Creator, one button, you click it and you published your book, and you can send that link out to whoever you want. And now it's on everybody's refrigerator. So I'm going to leave this quote up here for a second. It's one of my favorite quotes. I have lived my life by this quote for the last 8 years. When children create for the world, they make it good. When children create only for their teacher, they make it good enough. And I'll be honest, in today's day and age, good enough ain't good enough anymore. So another inside joke, but thanks for listening. So that's my story. And I hopefully that inspires you and makes you think about Book Creator maybe in a little bit of a different kind of light. But if you have any questions, feel free to put those into the chats or comments or whatever. And Philomena, I don't know if you have any questions or thoughts or anything like that you want to share before we get into the next segment. Feel free to do so.
Yes, I have Shannon. Hi, Shannon. That's worth. I love that this process allowed for some ownership of the process. And it's so important because student choice matters so much. I totally agree with Shannon, right? Absolutely. And this collaboration, it's so much important now because in Italy, we came back to school in presence, but we have so many restriction to follow. We have to stay 1 meter apart. We can't lend something, a pen, a pencil. We can collaborate because we can stay closer. So how much is important using a tool like Book Creator that allow you to collaborate online? So we can do the book together, even if we are apart. Great tool. I love the Book Creator. You know that, I told you. And in this situation, I think that it's the most important tool for collaboration.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, I said that it's easy, but with collaboration and with Book Creator in general, being so easy, it's one of those tools where I laugh, and I always say that the worst part about our company is our name, because usually when you say books, that's when the math and science teachers are like, "Peace out, we don't do books, we do math and science." But it's so versatile that you can use Book Creator for just about anything that you can think of. And so I've, over the last year and a half or so, I've really tried to focus on thinking of random, like weird ways that people can use Book Creator, right? Like, can I use Book Creator to do, instruction manuals for like new bus drivers? Can I use Book Creator to make a yearbook? Can I use Book Creator to send home, a welcome packet to new families at the school? There's so many things that you can do with Book Creator. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump into some of Book Creator's features here. And again, not really hammer home too much about the basics, because I think that most of us have a good basic understanding of Book Creator at this point. But I do want to share a few of the things that that people may not know exist, and then also specifically focus first on accessibility options, because I think that one of the things that, for me personally, that I did not focus on for a long time was accessibility options. I just wanted to publish a book. And so my students and I, we made a book and we published it. And we never really thought about people who had hearing impairments or people who had visual impairments. And we just did our thing. And the more I learn about accessibility, the more I realize how awfully wrong I was in not thinking about those. And so I want to talk a little bit about accessibility options first. So inside of Book Creator, we have some really awesome accessibility options. And again, it just makes your book more accessible to a wider range of people. And that's the point, right? We want the people around the world to be able to view our book. So I'm going to pull in an image here. All right, we're just going to go to the Google image search that's built right in. We're going to find an image of a dog here. We'll go with this one, and we're going to hit select. So this image pops up on the page. Now, if you click the image and then click this inspector button, we now have the ability to do a couple of things. You can hyperlink your image to a website. So if I put a website in here, I can now hyperlink this image. And when I click on the dog, it takes me to that website. You can also hyperlink it to a specific page. So when I click on the dog, it will take me to a specific page inside the book, which is really cool. So think choose your own adventure stories, visual table of contents. There's so many things you can do by doing a choose your own adventure. But then the accessibility option here is what's really awesome. So in this accessibility box, I can type in a sentence that tells me about this image.
John, could I interrupt you? In the chat, someone say, please slow down.
Yes. So sorry, like I said, I get a little excited.
Starting over, okay? We have our iPad or laptop near us or computer. We are doing the work with you. So open up the Book Creator app. Aprite l'app di Book Creator. Starting over, when you open up the Book Creator app, what we have to do? Cosa dobbiamo fare?
Yep, absolutely. So it depends. Obviously we have two different versions. So we have the online version, which is what I'm showing you here this morning. And then we also have the iPad app. So if you are on the iPad app, you're just going to open up Book Creator and you're going to click on that button that says new book. You just want to create a new book. If you are on the online version, the only real difference is that in terms of functionality, most of the features are the same. But in the online version, if you're a student, you have to join a teacher's library in order to make those books. Now, I'm gonna take a little sidestep here. So before we go back to accessibility, in the online version, anybody can sign up for an account. All right. So if you go to this website, once it pulls up here, if you go to app.bookcreator.com, you can sign up for a free account. All right. And this is for the online version. All right. So if you're a student, you're going to click student and sign in, but you'll need a teacher's code in order to join. If you're a teacher, you click on the teacher side and then you create your account. All right, it's going to ask you a couple questions. What do you teach? What grade level? And then you're going to be able to get in there. Once you've created that account, it's going to ask you to create a library. And then it doesn't matter what it's called at first. You can create anything you want. But once you've created that library, this is how students are going to be able to join. All right, and we'll go over that in a minute. Again, I don't want to go too much into the basics as I know that a lot of you have already used it. But what I do want to just mention is that this is being recorded. And so you can always go back and watch this again. But the one thing that I did want to mention specifically is up here at the top left, there are these 3 lines. And if you click on those 3 lines, this is on the online version, you have your teacher dashboard. And there is a section here at the top that says Learn. And I know Philomena and I were talking a little bit about this already this morning. But in the Learn tab, if you scroll down, there's a little section right here that says Become a Book Creator Certified Author. And there is a course that you can take. So you just click on the button. A new tab will appear at the top. And what you can see is this course. So the bad news is, if you're tired of listening to my voice now, you're out of luck because there's 14 videos where you get to watch me again. I guess the benefit is that I have a different hairstyle, right? And it's kind of like a fun game. Did Jon shave his face? Is his hair long? Is it short? Is it sticking up? That's kind of the benefit, right? You get to see what happens. But in this course, there are 14 videos that take a deep dive into every feature of Book Creator. So I know we don't have time today to go over all of those features, but this course is really good at giving you that deep dive into Book Creator, including the accessibility options that we're going to talk a little bit more about here in a minute. But once you take that course and you take the quiz and pass, then you become a Book Creator Certified Author. And you get this cool little badge that you can put in your email. You can send it out on social media. And by the time you're done with this course, it's about an hour long, you will understand Book Creator very well, right? You'll know how to use it with your students. You'll know why. You'll know all of those features. So it is really good. Shannon likes the course, right? Likes that there is a course. It's just, again, and it's not because I'm in the video. If it was somebody else in our company did the videos, it would be a great course just because it does take that deep dive. All right. The other thing, too, is that we also have a ton of YouTube videos on our YouTube channel. So if you ever feel like you're stuck, definitely take a look at those YouTube videos. Take a look at the course. You will totally understand how to use Book Creator. All right. Awesome. So let me go back into this book here and go back to my image real quick. And so with this image, yes.
Jon, I have an idea. We could share one library code so we can do something together with all our audience. So if they are trying to do the same thing as you, we can control. We can check their work.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. So here is a code to join my library. All right. So if you, Philomena, if you could put that into the chat.
Of course.
There is the code. And so we'll back up here a minute and I'll show you how to put that in. All right. So the code is in the chat. So if you go to your teacher dashboard, all right. And again, if you ever get stuck, right, like you're in a random library and you're not sure where to go, always look up here to the top left and just click either arrows or boxes or lines, whatever you can, until you get to these 3 lines and get to that teacher dashboard. Or if you're a student, get to that student dashboard. Okay. So that is where you're going to get your code or put your code. So scroll all the way down to the bottom. There's a section that says shared with me. Just keep scrolling all the way down. And there's a line or a button that says join a library. So you're going to click join and you're going to put that code right inside that join box. And then you're going to click the join library button. And now you will have the library that we are working in inside your shared with me section. All right. So as the teacher,
I am in.
awesome. Yes, awesome. So as the teacher, at the top left, there's a little drop down. And if I click on that drop down, I can see who has joined my library. So I see Shannon's in there. Awesome. I see Filomeno's in there. And there may be some others. So if there's other people who have joined, awesome. But I can see who has joined my library right there. Now, as a student or as an author in this library, so if you're a student and you joined, you're a student. If you're a teacher and you joined, you're technically a student in my library, but we call you authors. All right, so you're an author in my library. When you get into my library, you can see all of these books that are there, but you can't do anything with them. They're just kind of read only. All right, that's one way that you can see things in my library. The other way is that at the top, you can just click the new book button and you can create a book inside my library on your own. All right, so you can choose one of the styles. Personally, I always choose the bottom row because they have comic options. So even if I don't want to make a comic book, they have the options down there at the bottom. So I choose one of those. And now if people are doing that, the books will just pop up inside the library. All right, so students can join and view books, or students can join and create books. The third option is that students can collaborate on the same book together. All right, and so that's what we're going to actually do this morning then. So I'm going to turn on collaboration for this book that says Playground. All right, so now rules. Don't mess up my cover page. I like my cover page. All right, but yeah. All right. Now, so here's what we do. Now, actually, I'm going to answer Shannon's question. It's a great question. Would you suggest, if we are leading a professional development on Book Creator, that we allow participants to join our library? And Shannon, I'll be honest, I have probably done, I don't know, 2,000 webinars in the last couple of years for Book Creator. At least it feels like that. I don't know what the actual number is. But here's what I've learned from all of the webinars I've done. I don't know. And the reason I say that is because some teachers are perfectly okay with just sitting back, watching and taking it all in and watching that video later and playing at home on their own time. Some teachers need to do multiple things, and they need to watch up here and play over here. You know your audience better than I do. And so feel them out, figure out what it is that they're good at. And sometimes it's a mix of both. And so I always tell teachers, and I'll tell you right now, if you're good at multitasking and you can have this pulled up on one screen and Book Creator on another screen and you can do both, cool, go for it. If not, just watch and enjoy, right? Or turn me off and go play, right? Either way, it's totally up to you. So the third one is that we are going to collaborate on this book. And so when I have a book in my library, underneath there is a share button. And if I click share, one of the options is to collaborate. Now this is only available for the online version. This is not available in the iPad app. You can use the online version on an iPad using Safari, but you just avoid the app. The collaboration is only available there, and it's also only part of our paid plan. Now, we do have a trial of the collaboration you can play with, but it's good for 14 days. I think it's still up for 90 actually right now. So if you want to try collaboration with your free plan, go ahead and grab it while it's there. But I click collaborate, and then I have two options. The first one is that everybody in that library can work on the book at the same time. That scares some teachers because that really, I'm opening up this book so that anybody can play around inside of it. All right, and right now we don't have a revision history. So if somebody goes in and deletes my cover page, I'm kind of out of luck. So that scares teachers. If that's you, totally fine. There's a button here that says change. And if I click change, then I can actually choose which students or teachers can collaborate on that book. So if I'm looking at this list, and this is going to be bad, but I see Shannon's making some comments and Philomena, right? So I might just say, that's it. All right, I trust these two. And so you two can work on this book. All right, now there may be some more of you in here, and that's great. So I'm just going to cancel that, and I'm just going to start collaboration. And when I do that, everybody that is in this book has the option to collaborate. All right, so there's a new icon here. If you click inside the book, you can now start to see names that will start popping up, and I can see that other people are inside that book. All right, so if you're in here and you want to play around with me as we go along, just click the arrows until you find a blank page. And if there aren't any blank pages, just click the plus button on the far right of the page and just add some more. All right, but we're basically just going to play around inside this today. All right, so back to our image. I'm going to show you again how to get that image. There is an undo button, Shannon. So if that's what you mean by back arrow, there is an undo button at the top if you make a mistake. If you want to click the back arrow over on the far left, you can go to different pages. Okay? All right. So I can see that Shannon is here on the page with me. So we can both work on the same page at the same time. We can both work on different pages at different times. We can both work on different pages at the same time. It's totally up to you. All right. So with Book Creator, there's really two important buttons. The plus button at the top right, which allows you to add content. So you can add media, comics, and shapes. And then there is an I button that allows you to manipulate that content. And Shannon, it does save automatically. All right. So there's no old school file share, right? File save. We don't have to do any of that. It's just kind of like Google Docs. It just saves. So once you are here and you go to media, the very first button is import. All right. And so again, for the sake of time, we're not going to go through all of these features, but I definitely wanted to hit on the ones that get to accessibility. But when I go to images, I'm just going to search an image. And I'm going to pull up an image of a dog here and hit select. And now that image gets added to the page. All right. And I can see Philomena's adding some comic panels in there, right? So very cool. But there's my image on the page. It's perfect. So if I click this image one time, or if I click Philomena's image and then click the inspector, again, I can hyperlink to a specific page, or I can add some accessibility text. And the reason this accessibility text is important is because if somebody with a visual impairment is reading my book, the play button at the top right will allow them to hear the words. It will allow them to see the video, hear the audio, but that's it. What about the images, right? It's just going to kind of glaze over the images. But if I go to my accessibility text, and I put in Philomena's name in here, then when they click the play button, it will read the text, play the video, play the audio, but then it will say image, Philomena, right? So, oops, I missed a letter there.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah. So it's really that's right. So it's really cool, and you can do that with any image. And again, it just really enhances that book, right? And it enhances what's going on. If I click the plus button and media, again, you can import images from Google. You can pull in maps. You can pull in files from your computer. You can even embed content from other sources. So if you wanted to go to YouTube and embed a YouTube video inside your book, you can do that. Desmos calculators, Flipgrid, Padlet, Powtoon, all of those things. You can embed those right inside your book. Also under the plus button and still under media is the camera. So with the camera, you have two options. You can take a still picture, which is what Philomena added, right? And I can also record video. So if I click record video, it gives me a little countdown. Good morning, everybody. Jon Smith here. Hope you're having a great day. Hit stop. I'm going to use that video, and now that video gets added to the page. But what's cool about this is, one, it's a video. Kids like making videos. Kids like watching videos. All right, so why not use that to help them? So that's one thing that's really cool here. The second thing that's really cool is that if I click the inspector button, I can now add captions. But what's awesome about the captions is I can add them in 120 different languages. So if you speak English in the video, you can do English captions. If you speak Italian in your video, you can make Italian captions, which is really, really awesome. So I'm just going to click generate automatically. And because I spoke English, it will generate those captions in English. I do not have to watch the bouncing dots, right? I can click back and I can go about my business, keep making my book. And then eventually in a minute or so, this a little warning message will pop up, and then I'll be able to see those captions. Now, this is a true story here. Again, this wasn't something that I really thought too much about, right, for quite a while. But then I had something happen to me that was really interesting. I was on a phone call, and as I was on this phone call, on hold, listening to the music, this blood-curdling screech came shooting through the phone straight into my ear. And my ear was ringing, and then within minutes, I realized that I lost my hearing completely in my ear. And I lost my hearing for almost 15 hours. And it was interesting because immediately the first thought wasn't like, I wasn't scared, I wasn't nervous or anything like that. But my first thought was, I'm going to need accessibility options, right? I'm going to need to have captions in my videos. And so if I click the play button now, good morning, everybody. Jon Smith here. Hope you're having a great day. All right. So, whoops, it just adds those captions right inside there. And again, you can add those captions in 120 different languages. So very powerful. Good morning, everybody. Whoops. Jon Smith here. Hope you're having a great day. Oh, sorry. I hit the wrong button. All right. So those are accessibility options for the photos, accessibility options for video. Now, absolutely. I love video recording. It's so useful for students. Absolutely. It's a great way to assess what they've learned. Again, maybe it's the special ed teacher in me, but what I realized is that not everybody shows their learning in the same way, right? I may have students who are very good at writing, and I have students who are terrible at writing. But if I just want to know what they learned in science, then what is it that I'm looking at? Am I looking at whether they learned science, or am I looking at whether they can write? Two different things. And so I really enjoy video and photos and different ways for students to show what they've learned. All right, let me go to a couple of other really cool options here. One of my favorites, it's not really an accessibility option, but it's an option. Let me find a blank page here, actually. It's something that I think people will really enjoy. So if I go to the plus button, media, and pen, we do have an option here called the pen tool. And what is awesome about the pen tool is that we've got all these really cool colors. We've got these magic inks at the bottom. So as I'm drawing, the color automatically changes. Your kids are going to go bananas over this, I promise. But what's really awesome is the different brushes we have. So we have a marker, a brush, a crayon, a highlighter, right? Fairly standard stuff. But my favorite here is this auto draw. So if you have students who will tell you that they don't like to draw, which you probably have a lot of them that don't, especially if you're above about 5th grade. But if you have students who do like to draw, they probably will not be happy when you tell them they have to draw on a trackpad, right? Because drawing on a trackpad with my computer is a terrible experience. But I'm going to show you what auto draw does here. I'm going to attempt to draw a bicycle. All right. Now, I'm already upset because my bicycle looks like 2 deformed donuts, right? This is hideous looking. All right. But at the top, the auto draw tries to figure out what it is. Is it a pair of glasses? No. Is it a tractor? No. Is it a bike? Yes. So I click on bike and it fixes the bike. And now it actually looks like a bike. I can click the X. I can choose my colors. And now I can go in here, go to my fill bucket, and I can fill this in. And now I have a really cool magical bike. All right. Another thing that you can do inside of that pen tool is you can actually choose emojis. And so this is kind of like a pro user tip here. It took me a while to figure this out, but I had a teacher who came to me and said, my students are writing books about themselves, but they're upset because none of the emojis look like they do. All right. And they're, I love that. I'm an adult and I can't draw. Auto draw is a blessing. Yes, it is. Right. I love auto draw. But these emojis, right? The kids were like, none of these emojis look like us. They just, they don't. And so I yelled at our engineering team about this, and they yelled back and said, no, look, it's there. Watch what happens. So if you click the hand at the top right, you can change the skin tone of the emojis. All right. And so I showed that to the teacher, and she and her students were thrilled. All right. So you can do that. You can change the skin tone. It all changes all the emojis. And now you have your emojis that you can add into your book, right? A little more personalized. One of my favorites, though, too, that makes it even more personal is Bitmoji. So if you've ever used, if you've ever used, we're on the same wavelength here.
Yes.
So if you have ever used Bitmoji, you can download the Bitmoji extension for Chrome, and then I can search Bitmojis and design myself, and then drag them right inside the book. And now I've got this Bitmoji of me, right? That'll be really awesome. Looks a little more personal than just a standard emoji. All right, so looks like my internet wants to fight with me right now, but you'll get the Bitmojis. It's really pretty cool. All right, some other accessibility options here. As I'm running out of time, and I have another webinar I have to get to here in a little bit, and I have to plug my computer in too. I'm at like 22%. So one other thing that we have accessibility-wise that's really awesome is you can actually use the keyboard arrows to navigate. So if you have a student who cannot physically use a trackpad, you can navigate with the keys. So if I click the tab button with my fingers, at the top, you'll see a new button kind of show up. And so as I click tab, it highlighted my books. I click tab again, it highlights pages. And I can just tab across, then click return, and tab, and media, and tab, until I go down to where I want to be. And then I hit return. Now here's what's really cool. I can actually use the arrow keys to draw. So if I hold the space bar down and then click the arrow keys, I'm drawing with the arrow keys. All right, and so now this looks like an old 1980s Etch-a-Sketch, right? But we're having some fun drawing. Now, if I hold the shift key in the space bar and then click the arrows, it goes in bigger movements. But you can see that I'm not using the trackpad at all. I'm just using the arrow keys to make this drawing. So again, some accessibility options for your students. Now, the last accessibility option that I want to share with you may not look or sound like an accessibility option, but it really is. And that's under media, and that is the record button. The record button is one of my favorites. And so what I can do is I click on that and then click start recording. It's going to give me that little countdown. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jon Smith. Have a wonderful day. Click stop, use recording, and now I have an audio button right on the page of the book. And the reason I think this is a great accessibility tool is that I may have students who need to hear directions over and over and over again. But as a teacher, I may not be able to read that same set of directions 15 times, right, in a class for the same student. So I could, as a teacher, record directions, put it on the page, and then students can listen to the directions as much as they want. I could put instructions on how to solve problems. I could put reading fluency on there for students. I could have students reading their page in their own language, which is fantastic. There are so many options for that record button, I just want you to think about that. Now, my own children, it was one of those days. I had, I think, like 7 webinars all back to back. And I've got 3 kids running around the house, right? And I just wanted them to be quiet and keep busy and do something while I was doing all these webinars. And so I got them into Book Creator. And I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to find 5 things around the house that you think are interesting. And I want you to take the picture of those 5 different things, 5 different pictures. I then want you to go into Book Creator and I want you to write a sentence about each of those images. Tell me what you found. Tell me why it's interesting to you, that kind of stuff. My 10-year-old could easily do that, right? He could find the pictures. He could put them into Book Creator. He could type the sentences. My 6-year-old can find the pictures, can put them into Book Creator, but she can't type the sentences yet, right? Because she's not great at spelling and things like that. But what she can do is talk. And so she used the speech to text option, right? The microphone. And so she did that. And now she's able to complete the activity. Now there's my 3-year-old, right? She was able to find the pictures. She was able to put those into Book Creator, but she can't type. Sometimes she's a little hard to understand. She's 3, right? But what she could do is she could record her voice. So the speech to text wasn't really an option for her, but I could click the play button and now I can hear her reading her voice. 3 different ages, 3 different ability levels, 1 simple tool, and it allows me to see what all of these students, or my children in this case, actually know. So I really love these different options. All right, and then the last one, which I've seen some of you play with a little bit, is the comic panels and the comic features. I love comic books, and so do kids, right? So if I go to Pages View, I can see some of the really cool images that people are putting inside of the comic panels, right? So once you choose a panel style, you just click inside the panel, you click the image, and now I can click Use, and that picture gets dumped right inside that comic panel. All right, so tell stories through comics, give instruction on solving math problems through comics. There are so many options inside of Book Creator that I really want you just to think about the different ways that Book Creator can be used with your students. All right, now I know we're running out of our allotted time. I've got a few minutes here before I need to go to my other webinar, but do you have any questions or thoughts? I see interesting and useful tool. Yes. You know, what other things? Hopefully you found that this is engaging. Hopefully you're engaged in this and you've enjoyed our time here this morning. But I really encourage you to check out that certification program, really get a good handle on how to use Book Creator, play around with it. I'll leave this library open for a couple of days so you can continue to play around in this library and not use one of your free libraries, right? If you're on the free plan. But I definitely want you to get in there and kind of play with things. But are there any questions or last minute thoughts before I have to jump out of here?
Yeah, I have a question, John. If I like one of your books in your library, can I make a copy for my class? I fall in love with the Years book. I love that book.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah, so here's how you do that. I'm glad that you asked that. A great question. So when students join your library, right, or when you join my library, right, as a teacher, you can take one of these books that's in there, click on this icon at the bottom, looks like 3 books, click on it and say copy book. And when you click copy, you're going to put it in one of your own libraries. All right, so put it in whatever library you created, and then you'll be able to edit the copy and it doesn't mess up my original. All right. So Shannon asked, can you make copy of a whole book? That's exactly how you're going to do that. So you just click the 3 buttons, click copy book, and choose to put it in one of your own libraries. And that's a great way to do it. Another question that I saw is, are there resources for multiple disciplines? Absolutely. So if we go back to that teacher dashboard, or if you go to bookcreator.com/resources, this Discover tab right here, tons of books. At the top, books written by us, books written by Book Creator ambassadors. Scroll down, books written by students and teachers at different grade levels. Scroll even further down, more Book Creator ambassador books. And then we also have books separated by subject. Now, these books, most of these books in here, you cannot copy just yet. Okay, that's a feature that we're looking at working on. So right now you can view all of these books. Some of them, like this book, Big Book Creator Activity book and this Back to School book, you can make copies. And we'll have more of those in the future. But this is a great place to try things out and look at different resources.
So Anson, thank you for Shannon. Thank you for me.
Yeah.
I really love your presence here today. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you. And again, I just want to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to stop my screen share here real quick. I think I might hit the wrong button here. Let me find out where it's at. Here it is. Stop sharing. There we go. I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for putting up with my English and my excitement. I know sometimes I get a little excited and get moving through this, but I hope that you had a great time and have learned something today, and hopefully you're excited and inspired to go try something different with your students.
Thank you, Jon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Soon. I hope see you soon for advanced level. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I hopefully in the next month or two. That was what we had planned. So I know we've got a lot of other things on our plate as well. So a lot of good, exciting things coming out. Like I said, by the end of this year, we're gonna have some really cool things. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. Ciao a tutti.
Thank you so much, everybody.